But there is an elephant in the room here, and that is this. If you actually look at the underlying numbers on face value, it looks as though Leeds are doing okay. So we've got here the expected goal difference per 90 minutes for the Premier League this season. Teams at the top that you would expect, teams at the bottom that you might not expect actually, but a lot of the teams that you would expect to go down in this lower part of the table. And then we've got Leeds bang in the middle, pretty much on zero. So you're putting up as much expected goals as you are conceding expected goals. And as you see, this is mid-table. You would expect Leeds, on the basis of their underlying numbers, to be doing better than they are. So there is a group of people who are saying, well, if you just wait for Leeds to ride the variance, things will start going well for them in the end. And there's an element to which that is true, but I think there's something more to the story if we dig into the numbers a little bit more. So I have been able to use an app which is generated by a guy called Hugh Klein. It's a really useful resource called Macro Football. And what that does is it allows you to look at game state when you're analysing teams' expected goals creation. And what we mean by game state is anything that can influence a game and make teams play in different ways. So a really good example of a different game state might be a team going down to 10 men. We all know that if a team goes down to 10 men, it changes the game a lot. It can inflate the numbers of the team with 11 players and reduce the numbers of the team with 10 players. And the game state that we're interested in for Leeds this season is the scoreline. So what we can do is we can take each of the different score lines that Leeds will be. So at the top here, even, so if Leeds are drawing. If Leeds are a goal up, 2 goals up, 3 goals up, or a goal down and 2 goals down. And then we can have a look at the underlying numbers in those game states. There's a few different things to notice. The first one is that when Leeds are in an even game state, when they're drawing, in terms of the expected goals numbers we have here, and all these numbers are per 90, so keep that in mind. Per 90, Leeds generate an expected goal difference of minus 0.38, which is the 17th worst expected goal difference in this game state across the league. So when Leeds are drawing, which they spend the majority of their time doing incidentally, they are one of the worst teams in the league. Now there are some areas where Leeds are quite good. It's worth having a look at those. One of them is here, when Leeds are a goal up. Worth noticing they've only been a goal up for 71 minutes, so they've only been in that game state a little time. And in that game state, they've generated a lot more expected goals than they have against, so they look quite good there. It is worth noting as well though, that in this situation, yes, they're generating a lot of expected goals per 90, but they're also conceding a lot of expected goals per 90 too. And this may come from the fact that Leeds, just their play style is chaotic. They are generating chaotic game states. So sometimes that works out for them, they generate chances. Other times it doesn't and they concede chances. So that's +1, very little time. When they drop into +2 or +3, those numbers become negative. So they're doing quite badly there. The other one to look at is when they are a goal down. When they're a goal down, they're pretty much balancing their expected goal difference, so they're not better or worse. And then when they're 2 goals down, this is when they're at their most dangerous. And that makes a certain degree of sense, because if you're 2 goals down, the opposition will probably sit back, look to ride out the game and give Leeds more of the possession and allow them to get forward more. But it's not just the game state that's giving a slightly different story here. Actually, if we look at big chances, something else shows up too. Now, big chance is any chance that is greater than or equal to 0.3 expected goals. So that's a chance that you would expect to score in around 1 in 3. And if we look at all of the teams in the Premier League ranked against the amount of big chances they've conceded, we can see that Leeds here are in the top 3, so they are conceding a lot of bigger chances. And if we look at some of the examples of this on the board, I've just got 4 chances here that Leeds have conceded that come from those really high value XG moments. So here, Southampton versus Leeds, Joe Aribo gets the ball around the penalty spot. He is unchallenged by anyone. He's just got 1v1 against the keeper and unsurprisingly scores from that situation. Leicester City managed to work the ball down one side, play it across to the other. Leeds get dragged across. Harvey Barnes has a nice curling shot into the bottom corner. There's 2 chances for Fulham from the weekend. This is the first one. Bobby Cordova-Reid, you can't really see it here, but he's heading the ball here. The ball has come out wide from after a corner and the ball's played in. He's unmarked, he's able to get a free header. And again, in that game, Willian manages to get the ball is played across the byline, Leeds pull across, the area in front of the goal is kept open and Willian has this tap in into essentially an empty net. So we're seeing these situations that Leeds are maybe not conceding huge amounts of expected goals against, but when they are, there's a lot of big chances that you would expect teams to score more often than not, and this seems to be the problem. So if you dig into the underlying numbers a little bit more, a slightly different picture emerges, which suggests that rather than Leeds being a comfortable mid-table team, they may be in a little bit of trouble this season. So Jesse Marsch has problems in the Premier League, and the majority of these problems come from the play style. There's a sense in which his play style hasn't worked in the Premier League, and as a result of that, Leeds aren't able to be as dangerous as they might want to be. The big question is, will the numbers sort themselves out and Leeds finish in the mid-table, or is this play style doomed from the off and Leeds will be in a relegation battle for the rest of the season?
If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic brings you the best sports journalism in the world in a personalised experience, connecting you with the stories and teams that you care about the most. There's coverage of 13 sports, plus direct access to world-class journalists through live Q&As, discussions and podcasts. And you can try it now for free for 30 days by clicking the link in the description.